UWCL champions.
As summer waned into the past, European football returned at last. 4 teams descended upon Meadow Park, all with machinations of glorious progression. Poor Rangers swept aside with ease by the awesome foursome of Caitlin Ford. A stroke of luck, a shocking twist, as Rosenborg were the side up next. Nervous tension filled the air, one slip mistake and all would end. And mistake it was that defined the match, Frida benefiting, Arsenal's passage secured. 2 games against BK Häcken were next. A Swedish counter left Arsenal stunned, but home comforts brought rich reward. A comfortable win, the qualifiers overcome. The group stage beckoned, the true test begun, but for one Swedish man, the race was run. Beaten by Bayern, battered in Bavaria, a disastrous defeat, a humiliating end. Jonas was gone, with René his heir, and so fortune changed from bleak to fair. As autumn passed and winter knocked, the Renaissance grew, the Arsenal reborn. A winning start on an Emirates night, Juventus trounced in their own backyard. Hertig's moment to savour at last, Arsenal ablaze where Bayern froze. Then at last the final test, the game to decide Schläger's fate. Arsenal versus Bayern, winner take all, in wind and rain at Meadow Park. A thrilling contest, a seesaw match, a late handball, a spot kick to take. And then the silence, the pause, the wait, as Mariona stepped up to seal their fate. A new year, a new dawn, a new team to play, a first ever contest with Real Madrid, but disaster loomed under storm clouds dark, a wretched pitch on which impossible to play. Madrid triumphed 2-0 the score, an exit beckoned, European dreams no more. But under the lights with home crowd strong, Arsenal turned on the style, the mountain overcome. Now 4 remain, glory close to hand, and again a tie to be turned around. Lyon triumphant at Arsenal's place, but who will win when next they face? This is the Vic Akers Wonderland Lyon versus Arsenal preview podcast. I'm your host, Adam Salter, and once again, as we'll get to, I am joined by the magnificent Matt in the Hat and the lovely Lottie, who are applauding me, and rightly so, because that took over 2 or 3 hours to write, and I'm quite chuffed with it. Lottie, how are you?
Oh. Can you hear me? Sorry,
yep,
my thing's
go for it.
Muted. Yeah, no, I'm good. I've got my Euros ready. I've got my passport ready to fly to Lyon. Let's go.
Absolutely, let's go. And we're looking forward to getting into it. Matt, how are you?
I'm ready, and I think Lottie's ready to fly the flag for us while she's over there. But I think this is one where there's a lot of anticipation in the air. A bit similar to what it was like at the Emirates on that day. I think everyone sort of felt like there's something special was going to be there. We're there for something special, and it was a fantastic day, despite the result. But I think it's going to be another fantastic day of football.
Hope so. For those of you watching YouTube, you'll notice that it looks a bit different now. For those who don't know, we normally record on Skype, but sadly Microsoft is moving away from Skype, and tonight it drew its last breath and fell over. Fortunately, we only realised just about as we were about to wrap up our recording. So this is our second time around at doing this, and so hopefully it'll be even better this time around. So we shall begin where we began last time, and that was our traditional icebreaker. Of course, Lottie and Matt have already know this question, and so this is not going to come at them cold as per normal. However, on the day of recording, which is the 25th of April, Arsenal put out a On This Day video all about Jens Lehmann saving that crucial penalty against Villarreal in the 2006 Champions League semi-final. Lottie, as you understand, you were there for that one.
Yeah, I was. Oh God, I feel like I'm repeating myself. But
we are.
Yeah, it's a case of I was there. It was my first season with Arsenal home and away. Just this little person peering through the adults, and the penalty save. It was the celebration like it was a goal. I remember being picked up on someone's shoulders and screaming my head off. We were all there. It was phenomenal.
Well, the follow-up to that is a question for the pair of you. Obviously, we've got Daphne, who obviously saved a penalty in our League Cup semi-final with Man City, and Manu, who built a bit of reputation for saving penalties as well during her time at Arsenal. So, question to the pair of you is your favourite Arsenal penalty goalkeeper save? We'll include shootouts. We'll be fair, but there's quite a few penalties down the year which have been saved. So, what's your favourite? Matt, I'll come to you first.
Well, originally this was the one that I'd said. I think we were talking about afterwards, but looking back on it, it didn't. In terms of the match, it didn't really mean anything. But when Manu stopped at the I think it was Alexia Putellas in the group stages. That was an important one. But I think we've all got like memories of different goalkeepers making huge saves in important moments, and I think we can go back to say the World Cup final, Marriott's, with carrying on in the English tradition, shall we say?
Well, yeah. Unfortunately, it was a save, but it meant, again, like the Manu one, it meant nothing. We still lost the Spanish opposition. But I remember that Lexi one again would be quite funny when we got battered 4-1. Much like another London-based team who went to Barcelona and saved a penalty against Lexi Putellas. Funny how these things line up like that. It was a great moment.
There wasn't a pigeon that was distracted her though.
No, there were no pigeons this time around. Lottie, any favourite Arsenal penalty saves?
Not really. I think this one, it's Sabrina D'Angelo, and it's against Spurs, and it wasn't saved. It was just kind of more of a comical moment for me. She just looked at the ball. I'm not jumping on down there because the Dagenham and Redbridge ground is atrocious.
It is. There's a few I wanted to shout out to now. One of them is the ball ones I've not seen before. There's one actually in the shootout. The name escapes for the keeper, but Arsenal got their goalkeeper sent off, and I think it was might be against Liverpool in an FA Cup tie years and years ago, like the 90s. So they had to throw an outfield player in goal, basically. Might have been a League Cup tie. Anyway, they got to a shootout and they saved the penalties and got through to the final, which is just bonkers when this outfield player was in goal from the 20th minute onwards. So a shout out to that one. But mine is Emma Burns saving against Fulham in the FA Cup final. Just a few minutes after saving the penalty. The game was 0-0, and Arsenal scored the winner through Angela Banks against the Fulham side, who were on the up. And should be said that I think that the 2 seasons after did win the FA Cup. This was had likes of Rachel Yankee in there, Katie Chapman, just overflowing with really good talent, and they were professional. They were ahead of their time, and then sadly it all fell apart for them. But they were sort of the liners of their time. But yeah, Emma Burns saving a penalty, and then a few minutes later we get the winner and we win 1-0. Sadly, no footage has surfaced of that. Hopefully one day it will, because that's a key. We talk about key penalty saves winning a game, but it's not often you get a penalty save that wins you a final, shootouts aside. So that for me is my pick. As we said, but this is the Lyon preview. We will get onto the Lyon game. There's much to talk about. Also in the news. We've won some silverware. Arsenal won some trophies, which is always quite nice. The Festival of Women's Sport was earlier this week, and Corrigan Cross won Young Midfielder of the Year. Mario Nona Caldente won Overseas Player of the Year, and Alessia Russo won Attacker of the Year. Congratulations to all 3 of them. Other players in the WSL, I think, got some awards. I think it was Talis Joyce, I think, won Goalkeeper of the Year. And there was lots of different subjects, and just not just positional. So it's good to see some players getting some recognition for that. On the flip side, sadly, this is something I know, Lottie, you're quite passionate about, and that is Eniona Luco. Did an interview Women's Hour talking about
passionate. She's infuriating.
Yes, well, we'll get to that. But talking about a role in women's football and the opportunities for women's football, I think it should be said. I think there are what obviously she said I think was wrong. I think there is some right in there, in that there is a problem with women getting opportunities to talk about football. Women and both men's and women's football, and I think there's an argument maybe that there are maybe some men who I don't think warrant talking about the game. I think there are better people who can do it, but that applies to both men and women. But Eniona Tota, to single out Ian Wright, who for my money is a great man, a superb person who is a really good pundit and is a really good champion of the women's game. Aluka has since apologised for her statements. I'm not surprised, given some of the sort of the fallout that was sort of happening after this bizarre interview. But I know, Lottie, you had a few words you wanted to talk about this before we move on.
Yeah, no, I do have a few choice words for it, but like to single out the best ally and the best standard bearer for the women's game, it's a fight you've already lost as soon as you said it. Ian Wright is an Arsenal legend and a national treasure as far as as the women's game is concerned. This was like long before it burst into popularity. His knowledge and his care runs deep. I mean, he's paying for, I believe, a player's ACL rehab. I think it came up as $1,700 a month. Since 2024, if I remember rightly. I think women's football would be worse off without Ian Wright. You see his podcast that he's on with Jill Scott, Roy Keane, Gary Neville, and he actively promotes the games. If England played 1 or 2 days before, he'll have his tablet. Have you seen this? Have you seen this? And it actively shows on his podcast. Predominantly, they talk about men's football and other bits and pieces, but he made sure that that is included just to get it out there. As I said earlier, Eni Aluko is infuriating. She talks about female pundits being blocked from doing stuff. The reason they're blocked is because of, put it politely, idiots like her. There are so many brilliant pundits out there, even commentators like Vicky Sparks. You've got Karen Carney. She's got so much better over time. Alex Scott. And they all get slated because of one person's how do I put it?
Ineptitude.
Ineptitude and attention-seeking moments. I've seen her apology. I think it's purely political to keep her job because it's openly known that ITV bosses and BBC bosses were bemused at the comments. And I just think it's generally absolutely ridiculous that she's done this again, because when it all went wrong for her in Qatar, who was standing by her side? Who was backing her? Ian Wright. It's the most disrespectful thing you can do. I've had enough of her. She just winds me up now.
The problem I have with Luca is, look, I think you want more women in sport. She's a women in sport, and obviously, we can talk about she represents a lot more than just being a woman. And she should think as next player, she should have a really good insight. The problem is that from a media perspective, she just comes out with these blunders. And there's been a few down the years, and they all get clipped up, and they all come out when these things happen. It's when she's done interviews and Talk Sport, and she's come up with some really bizarre sort of takes, and people go, there's one thing to be factually wrong, and I hold up my hands up. I make blunders on this podcast all the time.
I do it 24/7. I hold my hands up to that.
I fumble my words. I get facts slightly wrong. I think in my brain I've said something, and I listen back and I've said something completely different, and I think, oh my goodness, what have I just done? That's really embarrassing. But I hold my hands up to do that. And I think when it comes to that, is you need to maybe have the humility to admit you've done something wrong, and to roll with it. And I think people like Chris Kamara, who he makes blunders, but he sort of accepts that as part of his personality, and it's jokes about.
That's why we love him. That's why we love him. That's because who he is.
Whereas someone like, I feel like with Luke,
I don't know what's happened, Jeff. Because he was sitting there talking to Jeff Stelling. I think for me personally, I think she's got a major case of the victim complex. I watched a podcast a few days ago. It's only about a 10-minute clip, and it just infuriated me because they were talking about sports, getting jobs in like sports and things. I think at one point, to sum it up, she was basically saying, if I don't get it, it's racist. But if I do, it benefits me. And I just don't understand it. Why do you have to play the victim card all the time? Like, if Ian Wright was white, this would be a racism card as well. End of story. It's not because of colour of her skin. It's the stupid things that she says. And this is coming from a woman as well, because it's the stupid thing she says. She makes it harder for everyone else. I find that since Eni Aluko has come in, I get challenged a lot more on my opinion on the men's game. I've been watching the men's game since I was 12 years old. That's nearly 20 odd years more on it. And really I know what I'm talking about. But so I've had people come up to me, why are you here? But you don't even know what the offside rule is. And I'm like, you probably couldn't even tell me what a foul throw is even if it was in front of your face. And most people can't tell me what a foul throw is, and I can. Like,
I think it's the referees who can't tell either.
Yeah.
No, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. There was one at the Crystal Palace game right in front of my eyes, and like the Lino weren't interested. Absolutely weren't interested.
I'll just throw this out there because it's a very. Let's take the scenario is trying to get into football writing or anything like that. A lot of the time, it is very hard. It's very difficult to get into unless you're very famous, like a Samu Smith, for example, has some experience. A lot of the ex-players now do have that. But then you also have people like Wright who do that. But Anuko is I think she's very difficult with her opinions, and that's what comes across as one of the issues that a lot of people have. I feel like
she speaks before she thinks about what she's going to say.
Yes. And I think that doesn't help, and I don't think she's suited for that, and she hasn't realised that. But because that's how she makes most of her money post WSL now, because the WSL has gone past that. I'm going to say £2,000, £3,000 a week that they were probably getting. They're now probably getting 10 times that now a week, and that's probably say an average player say at Chelsea or at Arsenal, maybe City as well. Maybe not at the lower league teams, but they're getting enough to say that they can start to earn something or put away so that they've got something for a retirement fund. They may still decide further down the line, like isn't Kirsten, that she wants to be a pundit, if they want to be a pundit, but there are going to be players that come in, want to have a go, and to go from there. I think it's wrong that you should be gatekeeping. And that's one of the things I think that she's also doing, is that she's gatekeeping. She wants to say that this is my spot, you can't have that spot. So say, I'm trying to think of a player. Say Danielle Carter, for example. She decides that she wants to try punditry. If there's an England game, they try and bring in Danielle Carter, and then Luko might turn around and say to ITV, "You can't have that because that's my spot," and that's wrong.
I mean, we are veering into hypotheticals here. We know there's no evidence. We should just say there is.
It shouldn't be that way. The best people should be available to be doing.
It should be on merit. It should be meritocracy. Rather, my frustration would be, I feel, like I said before, people make mistakes, and that's fine. It's human. The important thing is you can own up to them. And in fairness, in this situation, Luko has, and fair enough. If they said that face value, I feel in the past she would rather double down on her opinion, or as Lottie sort of insinuated, blame other people. It's not me, it's them. And there's been so many. And but you talk about with the opinion of the women in the game, I get that a lot because I'm a big fan of women's football. People at work know that, and the amount of times people at work come up and say, "Oh, how can we film football? This woman on the radio was saying this. It's absolutely stupid, and it makes no sense." And it's like, "Oh, who is it?" And they're saying, it's like, "Oh, yes," and you have to defend, and it's not defendable because everyone has an opinion, and all opinions should be respected. But the problem is when you're then your opinion just doesn't make it's conflicting, or it's just
your opinion is twisting itself into like.
If it's into fantasy, if it's
a domino effect of opinion after opinion, isn't it? I think that's the best way I can describe it.
And just comes across as someone who just won't take on board the criticism, and then obviously what's happened, and you just come up with these really weird attacks on people like I said, Ian Wright, and we'll see what happens with Aluko. I don't want to linger on too more because there's more fun things to talk about, like the fact that Chelsea are about to win the WSL. Not so good. 4 points required now after their 4-0 win over Crystal Palace. So away at Manchester United, away at Spurs, and at home to Liverpool. So Chelsea can, of course, win the league at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, which is going to be interesting. We have to say hands up to fair play to Chelsea. Hands up, they've won. They're going to win the WSL. I cannot see them chucking this. If they do, it's a bottle job that Man City will be proud of. They've been the best team all season. They dropped 6 points. They're unbeaten. It's all on to next season, I guess. But congratulations to them. I think it'd be 5-6 titles in a row now. They are aiming off. Arsenal won it 9 in a row, and I'm pretty sure that's what they've got their eye on next, as well as the Champions League. Although, based on the results, that may have to wait for another season. We shall wait and see. Moving on to, of course, the Lyon game, there was the press conference, and it was announced that DVD, Daphne van Domselaar, and Lotte Wubben-Moy are back in training, which is fantastic to see, especially with Lotta
Whoop,
fresh
whoop.
on a new fresh on a new contract as well. Lotta. We'll quick go around on this one. So Matt, Lotta or DVD? Well, firstly, Lotta. Do you think Lotta will get a game on this one? Do you think she'll start maybe, or are we going to stick with Steph and Leo at the back? Matt.
So I originally thought you were asking Lottie about Lotta for a sec.
No.
No, I was talking about Lotta, not
I,
Lottie.
I think you're going to have Lotta on the bench for this one. I think that she will be important. She'll probably be one of the players that you look at that, and if something needs to change at the backs, she'll be one of the ones that will come on. In terms of Daphne van Domselaar, I think that this depends on her training, how she's trained it. And if she's only at say 80% to 90%, I wouldn't risk her for this one. If she feels like she is ready and she is 100% ready, and the physio also and everyone else that's been with her say that she's ready and she looks so fine. There's no issues. There's no trouble. She looks like she's going to be okay for 90 minutes. Then I would then say she can play. But there is, Adam, you missed this one. But when we were talking about the second leg, I actually did mention that Daphne. I was waiting for that Daphne moment where she would be the number one, and the moment was right at the end where Caicedo goes through on goal and she saves.
It's right at her, but she saves it. Yeah,
but that was the important bit. That was there was also a moment in the first half where she makes the double save, but even though that's offside, but that was the moment where I said, right, okay, that's the number one shirt. Manu's not going to have that number one shirt now. And
I mean, if Manu plays, if Daphne plays the game against Lyon, having just scraped back from an injury, and she straightened on 11, then the writing's on the wall for Manu. I think she's been a superb keeper for us the last few years. Vastly improved from her first few seasons. I think we said that, we spoke about it many times. I don't really want to retread over old ground, but she's been a brilliant servant to the club, and best of luck to her, because she could stay at the club and be a brilliant number two, but I just think she is better than the number two keeper. She will, especially if she wants to stay as the number one goalkeeper for Austria. She needs the game time. She's not at Arsenal anymore. These things happen. Time progresses for us all, and I think it will be logical to suggest that she would be elsewhere. But brilliant servant to the club. Lottie, anything to add on that one?
I'm just glad to have a full strength squad.
It's
just nice to have everyone back and hopefully fighting fit. But it's a case of we've had the last couple of two-legged games. Manu's done the first leg. Daphne's done the second.
Second leg, yeah.
So, are we going to see Daphne again?
I hope so. Like I said, I think she is, if not yet, will be the best keeper in the world. I really do think she has that capability, that she will be the best.
That's a very high ceiling you're setting her.
Yeah, but I think that's the goal, isn't? And I think she has the potential to. She's not there yet. I don't think so. But she has the potential.
I think you're right, Adam.
Just look at her. She's younger than Manu, and she's already better than Manu. And
I don't think she's there yet. But the potential is there because of what happened in the Euros last time around with Sarina as Sarah Van Zidane. I'm getting the name completely wrong. I apologise. Sari
got injured. Yeah,
essentially got injured first game. She comes in. She was really up there in terms of level, and it was a bit of a surprise, really, that she was at that night. She was 19 at the time, wasn't she, Adam?
I think so, something like that. It would have been 3. Well,
18,
she was
18, 19, and she
maybe early 20s.
So
she was
mentally tough. Mentally tough. You've got to be mentally tough as a goalkeeper as it is, but to be thrown in like that against Sweden as well, that's a tough game. People don't.
It was. I was there for it. I was there in the crowd, and I just watched her last time, and I think that the North London derby, we were at Spurs and we were 2-0 and cruising, and then I think Beth England hits a strike from nowhere, and she just has that athleticism to just dive and hit pluck the ball out the top corner. just saves that there are brilliant saves of Brito, and you just think, would Manu save that? Probably not. That's not a discreditation of Manu. Daphne's a bigger keeper. She's got longer arms. She's taller. She's more athletic. She's younger. I just think she has the minerals to be that upgrade on the keeper.
In a way, that Lottie has been like she's always had a glass ceiling, but she's hit the glass ceiling. So
she keeps it, and probably explains why she kept getting concussed as well. One player that didn't train, sadly, was Kim Little. Renee thinks that she'll hopefully be available. I mean, she had a pretty good game against Lyon in the first leg. I can't remember if she won player of the match in the end or not, but she did. Yeah. So, yeah, Lottie, I mean, if Kim doesn't make it, concerns?
I'm more concerned about the social media backlash.
Well, there is that.
I mean,
as always.
As much as I love Kim, if she's not fit, I'd rather not risk her.
Yeah.
I mean, I know, bar Mariona, the only two people who've got the heavy experience in Europe would be Leah Williamson and Kim Little.
Yeah.
The rest of the team, not so much.
Yeah, the rest of the team, it's 2019 onwards, I'd say.
Yeah, exactly. Like the level of experience you need to take on Lyon and to play at their level, because where we've played all these other teams, Lyon and the Barcelonas are the next level up. They are renowned champions for a reason. So, how do I put it? They need to have their concentration hats on. We can't afford to slip up, basically. And
absolutely.
And as much as I'd love to have Kim Little there, because she's been absolutely brilliant over the last couple of legs. If she's not fit, it's not worth risking her.
Yeah. We'll touch on that in a bit, because we'll go to our team predictions, obviously. But it is an interesting one. We know Kim Little's is going to be here for at least one more year. She's on extension. She's still the captain, although it looks like she's no longer the chief penalty taker. 10. Oh, 10 more years. Okay, I see. But it's interesting how obviously her role's changed, and now she is not even. She's not even a guaranteed starter than maybe in the past she would have been. So I hope she'll start, because again, legendary player, and she's our captain. But it's not like we don't have options. It's not like we don't have options. We do have players we can put in, and we'll hopefully be able to mitigate her lack of appearance. She's still injured. A few things on the game. 530 away tickets sold, apparently, according to Freddie Cardi for the Gooner. Obviously, Lottie and G will be there, and me and Matt will be looking out for her on the footage. Looking out for the. I believe you're bringing the red cape from the Catley video.
I'm bringing my wonderful red flag that was in Steph Catley's video. You can see my big back of my big head in that video. But the wind just caught up nicely, and it looks so good. It's got a classic cannon. I'm taking that with me.
Yep.
But yeah, keep an eye out.
We will do. For those who wanted to watch along, and why wouldn't you be? 27th of April, 5 o'clock BST, for free on DAZN and YouTube. And if you do subscribe to TNT Sports, you can watch it on there as well. So no reason why you can't watch along and support the Arsenal. We are, of course, starting the game on the back foot. Once again, it's become a bit of a habit. Lose the first leg and then crawl it back in the second. We lost the first leg to BK Häcken. We lost the first leg to Real Madrid, and we're having to do it again. Matt, it's been a season of comebacks and comebacks and comebacks. And Renee, I mean, even in the league and some of the other competitions, when we've had two teams close together, we seem to fumble the first game and then win the second game. We don't usually lose two in a row. I mean, can we do it again this time around?
It's different kettle of fish, essentially. This is the men's version of Real Madrid, where they've won most Champions Leagues, and there's a reason why they've done it. Even when we did go and beat them in their own backyards all those moons ago, they had a injury crisis, and they were complaining that's the reason why they lost the game. Amazing things never change in football.
No, not at all.
But Lottie, you can mute yourself, put your things out if you want.
Are you reading stats up again?
Yeah, I'm going to bring it up.
Yeah, I don't want to know. Give me a thumbs up when you're ready.
Probability, for those that want to know, the probability of Arsenal progressing is 20 to 30%, whereas Chelsea's is only 10 to 20%. So that just tells you that, but that's only a probability. It doesn't tell you the whole story.
Football's a funny game, as we know.
Football, Liverpool went and were losing 3-0 in the Champions League final, and go and bring it back to 3-3 in
that was my
45
first ever
minutes,
final,
and then penalties.
Yeah.
Yes, and anything can happen, and I think there's a better odds for Arsenal to go and get one goal, but it's about how they do it, and the other thing is, how do they keep Lyon from scoring?
Absolutely. I think it could be a tough effort, but again, this is the champion. This is the semi-final. They're not going to be easy. These are the tough games. These are the games we want to play in to really test ourselves. And I think on the first leg, the home leg, we were tested, and that's not a bad thing. We know where our squad is. We know where we are in this time. I think it'd be laughable to suggest that we're somehow superior to Lyon. I think there is as much as we enjoyed the 5-1 win, and it was very much enjoyable, and it's one of the reasons why we ended up topping that group, which was quite incredible at the time. Lyon's squad was compromised. There were a lot of absentees, a lot of unfortunate injuries, and of course, what happened is they came back to our ground in the group stage, and we lost that game. But we didn't just lose the game; we lost something else. We lost Viv as well, and sadly, what happened. At least this time around, we can sort of agree that both of our squads are in pretty strong shape. We can't, that card can't be played. I'm really excited for this. As I say, we have kept coming back, and if it happens again, if we do come back from this one, then I think it's will be one of the great European away results. Something we seem to struggle with a lot. We haven't had that much away success in Europe. We do seem to mess up the away leg and then use the home leg to bail ourselves out. We've done that twice this season. We did it a few times under Jonas. I think the Bayern Munich game a few seasons ago, we lost 1-0 in Germany, and then we roared back in the home leg. No home leg parachute this time around. We've got to do the job in France, and I hope the team pull through. I think it's going to be a cracking game. I think we're going to say we've got 530 fans. I think probably more will be in there. I think the Lyon fans will be there, a strong crowd, and the fact that it's only one goal. I mean, if it'd been 2-1 if the legs had been reversed and it had been a 2-1 loss away in Lyon, you'd back us in the home leg to go and do it. So hopefully the team can turn up and make it a real spectacle. I think it should be a good game compared to, say, the Chelsea-Barcelona game, where it's all about the remontada. It's all about the comeback. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens at Stamford Bridge.
We don't speak of that word.
Well, in fairness, we've got to do a remontada of our own, just at a slightly smaller
We don't
scale.
speak of that word. We don't need that word.
Yeah,
we are the Arsenal. 90
minutes is a long time in Lyon. We'll go through the European campaign, because for all we know, this could be the last game, and if it is, I think, well, for me at least, we'll say in my opinion, I think this has been a really good European campaign to have got to semi-final compared to how last season, when it all ended very, very badly. I think we've done a lot about this team. Obviously, the manager has changed halfway through, and I think you can definitely see a before and after effect with Jonas leaving and Rene coming in. Had some amazing European trips. Did 3 away trips in the end, and not quite 100% win record, but plenty of positive memories to take away nonetheless. Well, Lottie, I'll come to you because you did Juventus away with me. So I was going to say,
my record is 100% at this point. So
yeah, we should say, that was your first.
I've been to European... one. I'm going. This is my second one.
Someone's lucky. Someone's got 100% losing the streak at this rate, and out of all of us.
I'm glad you're staying home then.
It's me.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, because you did.
Glad you're staying in the north of England in that case.
But yes, we'll tell what you might tell your experience there, because it's your first European away trip with the Arsenal win was the Juventus game, and it was an absolutely stonking game for us, 1-4-0. But just your thoughts on the season so far.
Yeah, no, I think if I'm giving it out of 10, I'm gonna go with a 7. It's probably gonna be bumped up to an 8.5 if we do the unbelievable. So and just get to Lisbon basically. But yeah, no, the improvement since Jonas left has been second to none for me. But I think the only thing that's annoying me is we seem to be analysing our opponents in those first legs and then playing them at their own game in the second one.
Yeah, it'd be nice
in the final.
Yeah,
we can't afford to do that. It's one game, that's it. And it's not like back in the day you got 2-legged finals where you can have Alex Scott scoring and then you can just make it a dead rubber.
Yes, that's that. We have that issue that we seem to be using the first legs as sort of to case the joint, and then the second leg is the heist. We we're not at the level yet where we can just win the two-legged tie.
Yeah, but
against
as I said earlier, Lyon and Barcelona, they're the next level of football.
They are. I think. I mean, there are some caveats. I mean, I reckon if we played Madrid on a really good pitch in Spain, we'd beat them. Then obviously, what happened.
We'd beat them at the Bernabeu if they were allowed to play there. End of.
Indeed, we would have done. Well, who can say? But I would like to think we could. But I think it's been a memorable season with some good moments. I said the Juventus game. I think the Valerenga game shows we can win away in Europe against, I wouldn't say tricky opposition, but certainly trickier conditions. You know, Arctic conditions. Bayern Munich fumbled there. We didn't. It's one of the reasons we were able to pip it. We've clawed games back in adversity. The Bayern Munich game, losing 2-1, and we turned that around and in again awful. There's been a lot of awful condition games. It's like we've had I think Arctic conditions, pouring rain, the whole lot, wind, and we've got to a semi-final, and not many teams can boast that. Certainly, I always think back that 5-2 defeat. Jonas's last European game with us, at least. Obviously, the Chelsea game coming up. But if you told me after that loss to Bayern that we'd get to a European semi-final, I would have laughed. I didn't see it. I thought there was going to be a struggle, and obviously
I would have laughed in your face at that point.
If Jonas had still been in and stuck it, was still here now, no chance. And I think
the first question about Marv would have been, what drugs have you been smoking? Honestly.
It would. Yeah, there was no way, and I think it's fair play to Rennie Slayers. I think she's done an unbelievable job. It may end up being a trophy this season, in which case, fair enough. I don't think she's been perfect. I think we can look at the first leg against Lyon. She didn't get her substitutions right. I don't think she has maybe got the game right in the right moments. But comeback ability was a big thing said in the press conference, and it's not just about the comebacks with the results; it's also with the management as well. And we saw. The two Liverpool games, the two Real Madrid games, is Renee. She may get it wrong in the first time around, but she'll get it right the second time around. But this is a whole, as Matt said, whole different kettle of fish. Is to go away to Lyon and get the result would be unbelievable. We'll go then on to the sort of teams. Then we'll have a flick through. I think we can all agree that. Do we agree? DVD and goal? Can we go? Yeah, I think so.
I think you have to, unless there is no way that Daphne is 100% not fit, or even if there's like a little minuscule doubt, whatever then she's not facing it. But I think we're all expecting, because she was in the photos and everything.
Yeah,
she's going to be starting.
And then defense, Lottie. I think we can. It's unless there's an injury, I can't see any difference. I think it'll be the same back line that we played against Lyon.
I think it'll be the same back line, but I don't think Katie will be so high up in the midfield.
You think she might have to rein it in a bit?
Yeah, it will, because we know Steph hasn't got her pace anymore, and
no.
I think with Steph and Katie, they balance each other out for what each one is missing. And I'm quite happy having them two on the left together, because if there's a ball that Steph's not going to get, Katie will get there.
Yeah.
Or if there's an error coming up, Steph will spot it, and it just works for me. Leah Williamson, no question. Emily Fox, no questions asked. They're fine where they are.
Fair enough.
Don't fix what's not broke. As much as I love Lotta and I want to see her play, right now it's not this game.
No, it's not.
You make a valid point as well, Lottie, because whoever's going to be in that midfield left side, they're going to have to probably be able to have the legs to be able to go out wide as well as playing in the middle as well.
And if someone like McCabe is overlapping on the left, they need to be able to run back and defend. There needs to be an element of that as well. I mean, the midfield, we said Kim Little might be a doubt. She was pretty good in the first leg. She got player of the match. She was in a pivot with Mariona. Frida was playing in the 10. I'm brutally honest, I don't think Frida was great in the 10 in the first leg. There's a few opportunities that she missed that she probably should have scored. If it were me, I'd put Mariona in the 10 for this game. But then the question then, Matt, is who do you put in the pivot? If Little's fit, and also if Little's not fit, who would you play there?
Well, my problem is you've got heaps in the middle. So you've got someone who's very tall and very strong, and basically just pulled the strings in that first leg for Lyon. how do you mark a player like that? Do you submit and try and get someone tall in there to sort of be that, or do you get someone like a Leo Volti and say, you stick with Heaps for 90 minutes, your job is to just stop her playing? The problem is that Wally is a very good with both feet as well, and as much as she can do that job, it will be hard to see her carry on doing that for 90 minutes.
I think what you need someone energetic to basically sit on Heaps.
Do you know who I'd put on her? Kyra. All
that's
day
my
long.
thinking.
Kyra's the one. Kyra is a workhorse.
I would have gone the other way.
Well, I would stick either Kyra or Pelova on her.
I would have gone with
Pelova. Ready to play the full 90 minutes. I wouldn't play Kyra in the full 90 minutes. I'd swap her for Vic.
Okay.
And then for at least half an hour. I don't think Vic's ready to run 90 yet. I really don't.
If Kim Little's fit, I think you could start her with a Kyra or maybe Pelova. But I don't think you can do Kim Little and Leo Volti. I think that time has passed. But I think
those days are over.
I would probably only do it for 45 minutes at a max, and then swap one of them.
Velti in the midfield and Kyra, you could have a Kyra as your energetic snuffler with Leo Velti pinging the balls, switching the play. It just means then you miss out on Kim Little. So there is an interesting conundrum there for Renee to go with, and it's a nice conundrum because you have options. Your choices are your own; they're not being defined by who's left. So let's hope she picks the right recipe there. But I don't think Mariona should be deep. I just don't think Frida really shined in that first leg, and I think Mariona will offer something a bit better in that 10 position.
Yeah, Mariona wasn't Mariona in that last leg. I wasn't happy with her performance. She just wasn't Mariona. Apart from that, but general performance, it wasn't one of those normal Mariona games.
When you look to the Madrid game,
we need that Super Mario magic.
But then, do you not want to see Mariona maybe say on the left instead, and then?
No, I don't know.
Adam, I am going to jump the gun here. If I'm going to have Mariona 10, my front three would be Chloe Kelly, Lesia Russo, and Caitlin Ford. Caitlin Ford on the right with Mariona as a 10 is superb.
Yeah. So you'd have Chloe on the left.
Yep.
So you wouldn't have Beth Mead.
I'd bring her on later in the game because fresh Beth is much better than 90-minute Beth at the moment for me.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's in the position. Remember when we were in January, February time, we were struggling for wingers. We were having to shove Russo on the wing. Suddenly, we got wingers coming out of our ears. We got wingers
Of course, but it's just something that Mariona does for Caitlin Ford's game. It brings her up another level, and I've been enjoying that all season. I know Matt's not a fan of her, but since we've brought Mariona in, she's leveled up.
She really impressed in that semi-final for last leg. I do apologise for coughing.
That's fine.
But there is a good question as well because about Beth Mead. But I thought Beth had a really good game until she was brought off because she was starting to find those pockets of spaces, and it was just it made the substitution at the wrong time. Had she waited,
I would have taken Ford at that time. I missed it before because she was on the booking, and I think that inhibited her a bit. I just think
that was a bit silly. Let's be honest. She should. Okay, it's a sliding tackle. It is a yellow card, but give a yellow card that early in the game, and then with what happened.
The thing is, we've already talked about this ref and Dark Arts FC. It's hilarious when you're doing it, but when it's on the other foot, it's not a joke.
It would be symbiotic, I would say, if Mead were to play away in Lyon, because in that game, and Vold as well, it should be said, but Mead had a really good game and scored 2 goals, scored that free kick, scored the 5th goal, and that was like her last really good big game before what happened with the injury. And to go back to that point where her career, I would say, was at her peak. Her career was at her peak in that match. That was Mead at her best until what happened. And I think I don't know if we'll see that Beth Mead again. We may not. ACLs have different effects. People, some make it back, some don't. Some come back about halfway. I think Mead is as close to coming back to her base, like I think she's at a really good level. I don't know if we'll see 2021-22 Beth again. Yeah, and carrying on to the early stages of the 2023 season when she was that good away at Lyon. But I think it'd be good to see her have that run again and see if she could find herself there. I'm just also thinking that first leg, she had that header. And I just think it's that really good diving header. And if she could have, got that right, it was probably the best pass Frida made all game was a curled cross into Mead's head. I think we can all agree that Russo's going to start this one again. I think a week rested should have her fit. I'm intrigued on the Chloe Kelly front. I think we saw in the Real Madrid game, her delivery from the flanks is up there with Beth Mead of just being of the highest quality. And that was one of the reasons why we were able to turn the game around. 2 crosses from Kelly and suddenly we were at 2-2. But in all likelihood, Lyon will have Wendy Renard in the back. And if anybody is going to be able to head crosses clear, the high ball, it is her. So, again, interesting to see tactically how we go and who we set up with. Rennie, the other thing Rennie's got to worry about is obviously this is a 90-minute game. It's a 1-goal deficit. You've got 90 minutes to turn this around. How do you go about it, Matt?
I think it's going to be very similar to Lyon. That first 20 minutes is going to be the difference. If it gets to where it's 0-0 at 45 or Lyon are in front again, let's say 1-0, it's going to be difficult because Lyon's home patch, I am going to be really bad with the pronunciation, so I'm going to avoid that altogether. Bukama.
Lyon's home ground.
Essentially, I think on average they only concede 1.47 goals this season. So I'm sorry, Lottie, I'm making it worse for you, aren't I?
I think they've won. I think they're either won or they're unbeaten in every European
No, not at all.
season.
I think when we went over there and won 5-1 in October 22, we were the first team in double-digit years, I can't remember the exact number, to beat them by four goals or more in a major competition. So that doesn't bother me.
No, but I think we can agree that game had major caveats around it. That was not a Lyon at full strength, and I think
we still beat them. I don't care.
We still beat them, and obviously you have to take advantage of situations. I can think of many times, and certainly on the men's side, we've gone to a team that's injury hit, and we think, great, we can turn them over, and then we lose 2-0.
But that's just how football goes. We know this. Yeah. We had our it shall not be named season.
Yes, which ended in quite
spectacular fashion.
Yeah, quite spectacular fashion, as you said, with the legendary semi-final with Wolfsburg, which we should have been nowhere near. In fact, McCabe was talking about in the press conference about how she was going out, and we said we had 4 ACLs and a couple of hamstrings and Achilles and knees and legs and toes and heads and all sorts injured on the bench, and that team should have been nowhere near Wolfsburg, and it pushed them all the way. I think it's just 1 goal, as we said before. It's just a 1-goal lead. If Arsenal manage the game properly, if they earn the right to play at their ground, quieten the crowd, neutralise the game, a bit like the men's team away in Real Madrid a few weeks ago. If they get to half-time 0-0, then they can go. They can go for it. And then if we lose, we lose. But I always say there was no shame to losing to Lyon because they are a superb side, some superb talent. They've won this competition so many times, and hopefully we can get the result. I do want to just touch on the other semi-final because there is another semi-final happening on the same day. It's happening earlier, so we will know when we play Lyon out of Chelsea or Barcelona, who will be in the final. Now Chelsea are going into the game at Stamford Bridge 4-1 up on aggregate. I think we all agree it was a really good game of football. The first leg could have been worse. Could have been worse for Chelsea, that is. Now, I know that there is a lot of... we cling to the European win in 2007 because it's the one thing we have that Chelsea don't. And I know that Chelsea fans really want to win the Champions League, as they know now. And as an Arsenal fan, it's the moment I'm always worried about is Chelsea when they get to the European semi-finals. They've lost to Barcelona the last 2 seasons in the semi-final. They've always lost at home at Stamford Bridge to Barcelona. I mean, Matt, do you see anything that would suggest that Chelsea could come back and do what I think would be the most incredible, result in, I would say, in recent European history, considering Barcelona are champions, they won the first convincingly, and they are such a good side.
This is where I have a problem with Chelsea, is their style of football isn't European Championship, European Cup winners worthy, shall we say. You look at a Lyon side and you look at a Barcelona side. Barcelona have the total football way of playing, Lyon have their way of playing, and they're just bred winners. Whereas Chelsea have this thing about them where mentality, that they just refuse to lay low, let the game go until the very last minute, and that's how they win their games at times. It becomes, for me, a case of frustration, and it's not only myself, it is frustration for other fans of other teams. Let's just pick Everton, for example. There have been times where Everton, or actually even Leicester's first season in WSL, they were close to getting something at the Kings Meadow, when Frank Kirby and I think it was Sam Kerr ended up scoring to give them a 2-0 lead. It wasn't deserved, but it's the way that Chelsea play. There is nothing about Chelsea to suggest that they are champions worthy when it comes to these, and you can't get away with that in the Champions League because it's a different kettle of fish again.
I get what you mean. The level of a WSL is you can get away with maybe underplaying yourself and just getting the job. I do think Chelsea's winning mentality and the talent they have means that they can just force a win over the line by brute force, not by being amazing and brilliant free-flowing football and just in attacking numbers and the will to win. You can do that in the WSL, but in the Champions League, you can't. Bluff is too strong a word. They're not bluffers. They are a brilliant side, but you can't.
Strategic. You can't be
strategically
try and get yourself over the line. Like say, bring on Aggie Beaver-Jones for the last 10 minutes and expect her to go and get you 2 goals when you need 3 in the last 10 minutes. It doesn't work that way. I mean, the best example is in that home leg. They got it over and done with within the first 45 minutes against Man City at the Bridge. Now,
when they came back,
they could have gone into that second half and they could have made that 6-7 goal, but no, they just sat back and they just said, right, we've done the job now, and that's it.
The thing is, I find that with Man City and Chelsea, it either goes one way or another. We saw them play each other back to back. They know each other as opponents very well because they play twice a season anyway without the cups. And I think with Barcelona, it's their Achilles heel every season.
But
they still, even without Mariona, they still don't know how to beat them.
But on that one though, obviously Chelsea have brought in the likes of, I know this is an Arsenal podcast and we're going to Chelsea territory, just to round this off.
It's Champions League football.
Yeah, Chelsea brought in Kira Walsh. They brought in Naomi Gomez. Obviously, Naomi Gomez is out injured at the moment, which is unfortunate for them. So they are procuring talent. They are building up this really good team. At some point, they're going to beat Barcelona, aren't they?
At some point, yes, but they did it last season.
There's also a case of you have too many big names at one club, and that could be the source problem.
Yes, the Galacticos, Real Madrid, early 2000s, that was their issue. But again, the thing is Barcelona are built to continue from where La Masia all the way to the senior squad. So you look at the players that have come through that. Atina Bonmati, Alexia Putellas, Mariona Caldente, Mapi Lyon, Catacol, Arlene Paredes, they've all played together. So essentially, that's a core group that play together and they know each other's game inside and out. Because not only are they playing for Barcelona, they're playing for Spain as well, internationally. And they're winning together.
That's why Spain is such a good unit.
Yeah.
Yes. And it's trying to, when it comes to whoever it is going to be in that Champions League final, whether it's Arsenal, whether it's Lyon, it's about maybe talking to a Leo Cadena, maybe talking to a Mariona Caldente and saying, what would you say are the weak points of Barcelona? They may not be as strong as they were last season, but they're still a threat.
I mean, I think I look at that Chelsea game. I remember when they played Chelsea the season before, and they were quite poor in their home game. And to be honest, I think they got quite lucky at Stamford Bridge. They just a few of the 50-50s went their way, and they just got that one over the line. I mean, this time around, that was the performance in the Barcelona this season. That was the performance I expected all along. Them absolutely just taking Chelsea to cleans. I mean, Lottie, just very quickly, do you give Chelsea any chance of turning this around, or do you see Barcelona basically finishing them off at Stamford Bridge?
I'm hoping Barcelona finish them off.
I hope so too. But
I agree with Matt. I just don't think Chelsea have got that European edge yet. For me, I think what I find most bizarre about at this stage is the last few years, Lucy Bronze has always been on the winning side of the final. Doesn't matter if it's Lyon, doesn't matter if it's Barcelona. And for her to be in this position is just unbelievable.
Yeah.
So I'm not too sure how Sonia Bonpastor is going to approach this, because she's won the Champions League herself with Lyon.
And she's beaten Barcelona in the final to do it.
Exactly. So I'm hoping it goes Barcelona's way, because Chelsea will be insufferable. And also, just like we are currently insufferable.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And
but
also
the one thing I do like about this at this point is the men can say, "Oh, we got the Champions League trophy." I tell myself, so do we. Our women's have got it. You've not got it. Oh, yes, we have. No, go look it up. And that's the end of the conversation. And I can understand why they like doing it to us, because I enjoy doing it back.
Absolutely.
And it's just nice. But yeah, no, I'm just hoping Barcelona have enough in the tank to keep that goal gap and maybe score another 2 or 3.
And I should say, Barcelona in Champions League finals. I've been to 2 of them, and they are amazing. The fans are amazing.
I do feel like Chelsea crumple over that volume of fans, because you look at the size of Barcelona's ground and you look at the size of Stamford Bridge, and their highest sellout is an Arsenal-Chelsea game because the Arsenal fans were in the home end.
Yes. You were there for that one, weren't you?
Yeah.
But not in the away. Not in the away.
I was in the correct end. I was in the shed.
End.
I still hate that ground. It's a toilet.
I've never been. I've luckily never been to Stamford
Bridge.
Not
recommend on any level. No. To be fair, I did meet some nice stewards for the first time in my life. So, yeah.
Before we move on, we'll just do a quick score prediction. We'll do score predictions for both semi-finals. So we'll do the Chelsea first. I'll just quickly say I reckon it's going to be a 2-2 draw. Chelsea-Barcelona, I think. Matt, any?
I think Barcelona are definitely going to win that one. I'll go 3-1 Barcelona.
3-1 Barcelona. Okay, so that's a 7-2 aggregate win for Barcelona. Lottie?
I'm going to go... 2-1 Barcelona.
2-1 Barcelona. So that's a 6-2 aggregate win. Arsenal. I'll stay on you, Lottie. Arsenal.
What do you mean?
God. Go back round.
3-2 to the Arsenal.
Okay, so who wins on pens? If you're saying it goes to pens.
Oh, fuck.
We'll let that out.
I can't edit it out. No, Sorry, everybody.
So who will go in pens?
I'm out to give myself high blood pressure. Jesus.
Yeah, because remember you're going to be in the stadium watching this.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Arsenal. I can't deal with this.
Arsenal penalties. Okay.
Yeah, Daphne van Domselaar to finally officially claim that number 1 shirt.
Daphne van Domselaar to save DVD to save DVD's penalty.
Oh.
No. Daphne to score the winner.
Yeah.
That's all right. Okay.
Bizarre things can happen.
See, I think the game's going to be settled in 90 minutes. But I don't know. Oh, you know what? I'm going to go 2-2.
2-2.
Yeah.
I think we'll score. I do think we'll get on the scoreboard. but I just think the pace and the power that Lyon have, especially at the home ground. I'd love to go 2-1 Arsenal and take extra time, but I think the road may end at Lyon, but I don't think that's anything to be sad about or be upset about. I think something to be proud of, to push to gone this far, and I think we'll push Lyon
It's
again.
reality. Like I can say, like I said what I said,
There's
but
no
the
shame.
reality of it is, we're likely to go out. Come on.
We're likely to go out, but I think it's been. I just want to have done it in this way. I think it's been a cracking run. I think we've had some cracking memories. I loved going away to Norway. Loved going away to Juventus. We had the Bayern win. We had the Real Madrid win. We had the Hecken 4-0, which I think was quite fun. Lottie with a screamer. Maybe she's got one more left. Who knows this season? But I think it'll be 2-1 Lyon. And I think we'll go out of our heads high, and I think it will be a Lyon-Barcelona final again. And I think that'll probably be fair, because I think they are the two best teams in Europe, and they should be the ones playing the final. But who knows? Football's a funny game, and if Arsenal can wave that magic one more time, do one more comeback, one more comeback, one more comeback ability, as we were saying. We've duffed the first leg, but maybe we can just turn around the second leg. Before we look ahead to the leg, we should say a quick shout out to our socials. You can, of course, find our pod. We have that on Twitter and Blue Sky at BAW Pod, and I think on Instagram as well. And so plenty of other socials. And obviously, if you're watching us on YouTube, do give us a like, comment, and subscribe. It's very much appreciated. We do enjoy reading them. Lottie, where can we find you?
Find me on Twitter and Instagram, Lottie_AWFC. I've got Lotta with more in the mind. I can't remember my Blue Sky, but it will be in the description below.
Matt, where can we find you?
You can find me at MattLR28, basically on all the socials, Blue Sky, Twitter, Hubstack even. Miracles can happen.
Yeah, miracles can happen. You just got to believe and hope, and maybe we'll get another 5-1. Who knows? Another magical night in France. You can find me at Adam_Salter4 on Blue Sky and Twitter and Instagram. And you'll follow the Arsenal Women Archive as well. And if you love European history, especially Arsenal Women European history, we've got a real surprise coming up next week. So do keep an eye on that. So even if all else fails, we'll have something to celebrate later in the week, I can guarantee. But that's it. That's the end of the pod. What a game we've got lined up at the weekend. I can't wait. I can't wait to tune in and see if the miracle does happen, as you say, Matt. Miracles do happen. One more game, potentially, and maybe one more if we're a bit lucky. So give it your all, Arsenal. We'll be supporting you. Lottie will be there cheering you on. Come on, you Gunners.